Listen to me very carefully right now, because what I'm about to tell you can literally change your life. There are Washington quarters out there. Yes, the same quarters you throw in vending machines, the same quarters sitting dirty in drawers, the same quarters you don't even look at that are not pocket change. These coins are hidden wealth. These coins are silent fortune. These old coins are a treasure, and people are accidentally spending them every single day. Do not spend these coins. I mean it. Some tiny detail makes these rare, and collectors are fighting over them in quiet, aggressive auctions that nobody talks about. This is not fiction. This is real auction shock. These coins are worth serious money, life-changing money. Check your pocket now. Check your drawers. Check that old jar. Because what you are holding might be a fortune, and you do not even know it. Today, I'm revealing 5 Washington quarters that look ordinary. Some even look dirty and old. But they are big money coins. Secret collectors want them, and every next one is bigger, rarer, and more shocking than the last. Stay till the end, because what comes later will feel dangerous to ignore. And I'm saying this clearly right now. Do not spend these coins. First up, now let me tell you about a quarter that is so quiet, so innocent-looking, so easy to lose, and yet it hides a level of wealth that feels unreal. The 1951 Washington quarter without a mint mark. If you ever see this coin in an old, beautiful, blackish antique look, in fine, original condition, your heart should start beating faster, because this is not just a coin, this is a silent fortune. This is the kind of coin that people spend without thinking, and that single mistake can destroy a life-changing opportunity. The scary part is, millions of people have already done exactly that. They held it, they felt it, they used it, and they lost it forever. 1951 was not a calm, comfortable year in America. The country was under pressure, the world was changing, money was tight, and everything was about recovery, rebuilding, and stability after years of stress and war. When a year feels heavy like that, coins do not come out perfect. The system is under strain, the mints are under pressure, and small decisions made in those moments create big rarities later. That's how hidden treasures are born. Nobody in 1951 was thinking about collectors in the future. Nobody was protecting these coins. They were meant to be used, spent, abused, and forgotten. And that's exactly why surviving examples, especially in beautiful original condition, feel almost impossible today. The Washington quarter already carries history on its face. You're holding the image of a man that represents strength, endurance, and the foundation of a nation. The design is serious, proud, and timeless. When you hold this coin in your fingers, it doesn't feel like loose change. It feels solid. It feels important. The weight, the thickness, the diameter, the way it sits in your hand, it has presence. It feels like something that belongs in history, not in a cash register. And when it has that old blackish antique look, that natural skin that only time can create, it looks like a piece of the past that survived a storm. Here's the part that makes this dangerous. Most people think shiny is good. They think cleaning a coin helps. No. Cleaning this coin is like burning money. The moment someone wipes it, polishes it, or improves it, the soul of the coin is gone. Collectors don't want new. They want real. They want original. That deep, natural toning, that aged surface, that honest look, that is where the value lives. Once it is gone, it never comes back. Do not clean this coin. Ever. Now let's talk about the missing mint mark, because this is where things get serious. A 1951 quarter without a mint mark means something very specific about where and how it was made. And in that year, with everything going on, not all coins were created equal. Some were struck under stress. Some were struck with subtle differences. Some came out in ways that nobody cared about at the time. But today, collectors obsess over those tiny details. They look at the surfaces. They look at the strike. They look at the feel. They look at the originality. And when they find one that survived in beautiful, honest, fine condition, the room changes. The air changes. The bidding gets quiet, then aggressive, then shocking. Most of these coins didn't survive like that. They were used hard. They were dropped. They were scratched. They were spent. They were melted. They were lost. That's why finding one today that still has that original antique skin, that natural darkness, that untouched look, feels like finding a hidden treasure in plain sight. This is why survival is rare. This is why supply keeps shrinking. And this is why demand keeps rising, because serious collectors are not selling these. They're holding them. They're locking them away. They're waiting. And when one finally appears at auction, something strange happens. There's no shouting. There's no noise. Just quiet, focused, hungry collectors who know exactly what they are looking at. And the price climbs and climbs. And then it reaches a number that doesn't even feel real anymore. A 1951 no-mint-mark Washington quarter like this, in beautiful original fine condition, has reached around $285,000. That is not pocket change. That is hidden wealth. That is a silent fortune. That is life-changing money sitting in the shape of a simple quarter. So listen to me. If you ever see this coin, do not spend this coin. If you ever find one, never clean it. Protect it. Respect it. Get it checked by professionals, because grading is critical here. The difference between just a quarter and a serious money coin is in tiny details most people don't even know exist. This detail changes everything. Patience is golden with coins like this, because rushing, cleaning, or selling blindly is how people destroy fortunes without realizing it. And the scariest part? This is not fiction. These coins are still out there. In drawers, in boxes, in old collections, in jars, in forgotten places. People are still losing them every day because they do not know what they are holding. Stay with me, because the next coin is even rarer, even more shocking, and even more dangerous to ignore. And once you hear about it, you are going to start checking every single quarter you see, like your future depends on it. Next up, now listen to this very carefully, because what you are about to hear sounds like a mistake, sounds like an accident, and sounds like something that should not exist, but it does. The 1965 Washington quarter without a mint mark is one of the most dangerous coins to ignore in American history. Dangerous because it looks normal. Dangerous because people spend it every single day. Dangerous because it hides a level of wealth that feels almost illegal to talk about. If you ever held a 1965 quarter, there is a real chance you already touched a silent fortune and didn't even feel it. 1965 is a turning point year. America was changing, the economy was under pressure, and the entire money system was shifting. This was the year when everything about coins changed, when old rules broke and new rules were forced in. The country was trying to move forward, but behind the scenes there was stress, confusion, and rush. And when a system is rushed, that is when history makes mistakes. That's when impossible coins are born. The Washington quarter design was already a symbol of strength and stability, and in 1965, it carried even more emotional weight. You're looking at the face of a nation's foundation, pressed into metal during one of the most tense transitions in United States. Money history. When you hold this coin, it doesn't feel cheap. It feels solid. It feels serious. The weight, the thickness, the diameter, the way it sits in your hand, it has presence. It feels like something important. And in old, fine, original condition, with that honest, aged look, it feels like a survivor from a chaotic moment in time. Here's where it gets crazy. 1965 is the year when the composition of U.S. coins changed. The country was moving away from the old way, trying to save money, trying to survive economic pressure. Everything was happening fast. Too fast. And in moments like that, some coins come out wrong, some come out special, and some come out in ways nobody planned. That's why a 1965 quarter without a mint mark is not just rare. It's a whisper from a broken system. It's proof that something slipped through when nobody was watching. Most 1965 quarters were used hard. They were everywhere. They were spent, dropped, scratched, and forgotten. Nobody saved them. Nobody protected them. And that's exactly why finding one today in old, fine, original condition feels almost unreal. Survival is rare. True original surfaces are rare. That natural skin, that honest toning, that slightly aged look, that's what collectors dream about. And that's why cleaning this coin is a disaster. The moment someone tries to make it shiny, the magic is gone. The value collapses. The history is erased. Never clean this coin. Ever. The missing mint mark is not just a small detail. It's everything. Collectors live for these details. They study them. They hunt them. They fight over them. They look at the strike, the surface, the feel, the originality. They look for signs that this coin is real, untouched, and honest. And when they find one that survived the chaos of 1965 in beautiful original condition, the mood changes. The room goes quiet. The bidding gets tense. And then it gets aggressive. This is not the kind of coin people casually sell. Serious collectors hold these. They lock them away. They wait. Because they know something most people don't. The supply is not growing. It's shrinking. Every year, more are damaged, more are cleaned, more are lost forever. But the demand keeps rising, because this coin represents a moment in history that will never happen again. And when one finally appears in the open market, something shocking happens. The numbers don't make sense to normal people anymore. A real original 1965 Washington quarter without a mint mark in fine condition has reached around $255,000. Let that sink in. A quarter, $255,000. That is hidden wealth. That is a silent fortune. That is serious money. That is a life-changing opportunity in the shape of something people throw away every day. So hear me clearly. Do not spend this coin. If you ever find one, do not clean it. Do not rush. Protect it. Get it checked by professionals, because grading is critical. Tiny details decide everything here. One small mistake can turn a fortune into nothing. Patience is golden with coins like this. This detail changes everything. This is not fiction. And the most terrifying part? These coins are still out there. In pockets. In drawers. In old jars. In forgotten boxes. People are still losing them right now because they do not know what they are holding. Stay right here, because the next coin is even more shocking, even more dangerous to ignore. And once you hear about it, you are going to realize this rabbit hole goes much deeper and much more expensive. Next up, now listen to this, because this one hides in plain sight, and almost nobody takes it seriously, and that's exactly why it's so dangerous. The 1976 Washington quarter without a mint mark, especially when you see it with those strange brown spots on the front in honest fine condition, is one of those coins that people laugh at, spend, and forget. And that single mistake can cost them a silent fortune. This is the kind of coin that sits in drawers, in jars, in old collections, and people think, oh, it's just a bicentennial quarter. No, this is not just a quarter. This is hidden wealth pretending to be ordinary. 1976 was not a normal year. It was an emotional year. It was the bicentennial of the United States. The whole country was celebrating 200 years of history, pride, survival, and identity. Everything connected to that year carries weight, memory, and meaning. The mints were under pressure. The demand for special coins was huge. The system was working hard, fast, and sometimes messy. And when a system is pushed like that, special coins are born. Not on purpose, by accident, by stress, by history itself. The Washington quarter design already feels powerful, but in this period, it feels even more symbolic. When you hold this coin, it doesn't feel tiny or weak. It feels solid. It feels important. The weight, the thickness, the diameter, the way it rests in your fingers, it has presence. It feels like something that belongs to a moment in history, not something that should be sliding across a store counter. And when you see those brown spots, that aged look, that slightly antique face, it tells a story. It tells you this coin lived. It survived. It wasn't protected. It wasn't saved. It was used. And that's exactly why finding one today in honest fine condition is so rare. Here's the part most people don't understand. Those brown spots, that natural aging, that surface character, that is not damage. That is originality. That is time. That is the coin's skin. Collectors want that. They want real. They want untouched. The moment someone tries to clean it, polish it, or make it pretty, the value collapses. The history dies. The soul of the coin is gone. Never clean this coin. Ever. Cleaning is how people destroy life, changing money, without even realizing it. Now let's talk about the missing mint mark, because this is where everything changes. In a year like 1976, with massive production, massive demand, and massive pressure, tiny details start to matter more than ever. A quarter without a mint mark from this period is not just a small variation. It's a sign. It's a clue. It is something collectors hunt for quietly and obsess over. They look at the strike. They look at the surfaces. They look at the originality. They look at the feel of the coin in the hand. And when they find one that survived all these years in true, honest, fine condition, with natural aging and no cleaning, the mood in the room changes. Most of these coins were destroyed by use. They were spent, scratched, dropped, abused, and forgotten. Nobody thought about saving them. Nobody thought they would ever be special. That's why survival is rare. That's why true original examples are so hard to find. And that's why supply keeps shrinking every year, while demand keeps rising, because serious collectors are not selling these. They're holding them. They're locking them away. They're waiting. When one of these finally appears in the open market, it doesn't look dramatic. There's no noise, just quiet, focused collectors who know exactly what this coin is. The bidding starts calm. Then it gets tense. Then it gets aggressive. And then the number reaches a place that feels unreal. A real 1976 Washington quarter without a mint mark, in fine condition with natural brown spotting and original surfaces, has reached around $200,000. $200,000 for a quarter. That is not normal money. That is hidden treasure. That is silent fortune. That is serious money. That is life-changing wealth hiding in plain sight. So listen to me very clearly. Do not spend this coin. If you ever find one, do not clean it. Do not rush. Protect it. Get it checked by professionals, because grading is critical here. Tiny details decide everything. One small mistake can turn a fortune into nothing. Patience is golden with coins like this. This detail changes everything. This is not fiction. And the scariest part? These coins are still out there. In pockets, in drawers, in jars, in old boxes. People are still losing them right now because they do not know what they are holding. Stay right here, because the next coin is even rarer, even more shocking. And once you hear about it, this 1976 quarter is going to feel like just the beginning of a much bigger and more dangerous secret. Next up. Now this one is dangerous in a very different way, because it looks modern, it looks normal, and it looks like something nobody in their right mind would ever suspect. The 1979 Washington quarter, with the D-mint mark in very fine condition, is one of those coins that lives right in front of people's eyes, and that's exactly why it keeps getting spent, lost, and erased from history. This is the kind of coin that passes through thousands of hands, and almost every single person thinks, just a quarter. And that one thought is how a silent fortune disappears. 1979 was not a calm, easy year. America was under economic pressure, confidence was shaky, and everything felt like it was in transition. Money didn't feel strong. The system was adjusting, changing, trying to keep up. And whenever a year feels like that, coins become witnesses of stress. They are produced fast. They're pushed into circulation hard. They're not treated like future treasures. They're treated like tools. And that's how rare survivors are created, not by being special on purpose, but by surviving when almost nothing else did. The Washington quarter design, by this point, was already a symbol of continuity and strength. When you hold this coin, it doesn't feel weak or disposable. It feels solid. It has weight. It has thickness. It has presence. The diameter, the way it sits in your fingers, the way it catches light. It feels like something more serious than pocket change. And in very fine original condition, with honest surfaces that haven't been destroyed, it feels like a time capsule from a stressed era. The composition of this coin comes from a time when the country was trying to balance cost, trust, and durability. Everything was about efficiency and survival. And yet somehow, some of these coins came out different. Some were struck better. Some were handled differently. Some simply got lucky. And that's where rarity is born. Not in perfection, but in survival. Now let's talk about that D-mint mark, because this tiny letter is not decoration. It's a fingerprint. It tells a story about where this coin was born and under what conditions. In years like 1979, production pressure changes everything. Small differences become big deals. Collectors know this. They study this. They hunt this. They look at the strike. They look at the surfaces. They look at the originality. They look for coins that were not cleaned, not polished, not improved by someone who didn't know better. And this is critical, so listen carefully. Never clean this coin. Never. The moment someone tries to make it shiny, the value starts dying. The moment that original surface is damaged, the history is damaged with it. Collectors do not want new. They want real. They want honest. They want the skin that only time can create. Cleaning is how people destroy hidden wealth without even knowing it. Most 1979 quarters lived hard lives. They were used daily. They were dropped. They were scratched. They were stacked, rolled, spent, and forgotten. Nobody was saving them. Nobody was protecting them. That's why finding one today in very fine original condition is not normal. It's rare. It's strange. It's special. Survival like that is the exception, not the rule. And when one of these appears in front of serious collectors, the atmosphere changes. There's no noise. No drama. Just quiet focus. They look at every detail. They look at the mint mark. They look at the surfaces. They look at the feel of the coin. And if it is right, the bidding starts. Slow at first, then tense, then aggressive, because they know something most people don't. They know that supply is shrinking every year. Coins get damaged. Coins get cleaned. Coins get lost. But demand keeps rising, because collectors are not letting these go once they get them. They are holding. They're waiting. And when the hammer finally falls, the number doesn't feel real anymore. A real 1979 Washington quarter with the D mint mark in very fine, original condition has reached around $185,000. Let that sink in. $185,000 for a quarter. That is not normal money. That is hidden treasure. That is silent fortune. That is serious money. That is life-changing wealth that looks like nothing. So hear me clearly. Do not spend this coin. If you ever find one, do not clean it. Protect it. Get it checked by professionals, because grading is critical here. Tiny details decide everything. One careless move can turn a fortune into nothing. Patience is golden with coins like this. This detail changes everything. This is not fiction. And the scariest part? These coins are still out there. In pockets, in drawers, in jars, in old collections. People are still losing them right now because they do not know what they are holding. And stay right here, because the next and final coin is even more shocking, even more unbelievable. And once you hear about it, this 1979 quarter is going to feel like a warm-up for something truly dangerous to ignore. Next up. Now this one might be the most dangerous of them all, because if you saw it in real life, you would probably spend it without even a second thought. The 1993 Washington quarter with the D mint mark, especially in that old, dirty, circulated look, is the kind of coin that hides in plain sight and laughs while people throw it away. This is not a pretty coin. This is not a shiny coin. This is not a coin that looks special, and that is exactly why it keeps getting lost. This is hidden treasure wearing dirty clothes. 1993 feels modern, and that's what makes this story so scary. People think only old, ancient coins can be valuable. That belief is how silent fortunes disappear. The early 1990s were a time of economic adjustment, pressure, and change. The system was moving fast, money was moving fast, and nobody was thinking about future rarities. Coins were tools. They were meant to work, to move, to be used hard. And when coins are treated like that, almost none of them survive in any meaningful way. The Washington quarter design, by this point, was so familiar that people were blind to it. Washington's face, strong and calm, passed through millions of hands every day. The coin itself still had presence. It still had weight. It still had thickness. It still had that solid, serious feel when you hold it. The diameter, the balance, the way it sits in your fingers, it's not a toy. It feels like real money. But in 1993, nobody respected it as a future collectible. They respected it only as 25 cents. The composition of this coin comes from a time when efficiency and durability mattered more than romance. Everything was about speed and volume. And in that environment, tiny differences become huge over time. Some coins get struck better. Some get handled differently. Some just get lucky. Most get destroyed by daily life. That's why a 1993 D quarter that still exists in a recognizable original state, even in dirty circulated condition, is already a survivor. Now here's the part that flips your brain upside down. That dirty look, that worn surface, that is not automatically bad. That is proof of life. That is proof of survival. That is proof this coin wasn't messed with. Collectors are terrified of cleaned coins. The moment someone tries to scrub it, polish it, or make it nice, the value starts dying. The original surface is everything. The skin of the coin is its history. Once it is gone forever. Never clean this coin. Ever. Cleaning is how people erase 5- and 6-figure wealth with their own hands. The D mint mark is not decoration. It's identity. It's a clue. It tells a story about where this coin was born and under what conditions. In the early 1990s, production was massive, pressure was high, and consistency was not perfect. Collectors know this. They look closely. They study the strike. They study the surfaces. They study the tiny details that normal people never notice. And when they find a real, honest 1993 D that has the right look, the right feel, the right untouched story, they don't hesitate. Most of these coins were absolutely destroyed by circulation. They were dropped, scratched, bent, stacked, rolled, spent, and forgotten. Nobody saved them. Nobody protected them. That's why survival itself is rare. And that's why even a circulated example, if it's original and not cleaned, can be incredibly important. Supply is not growing. It's shrinking every year. Coins get damaged. Coins get improved. Coins get lost forever. But demand keeps rising because serious collectors are not letting these go once they get them. They're holding them. They're locking them away. When one of these finally shows up in front of the right people, it is quiet. No noise. No drama. Just eyes narrowing, hearts beating, and bids climbing. And then the number reaches a place that feels completely unreal for something that looks so ordinary. A real 1993 Washington quarter with the D mint mark, in old, dirty, circulated, but original condition, has reached around $155,000. $155,000. For a coin most people wouldn't even pick up if it fell on the ground. That is hidden wealth. That is silent fortune. That is serious money. That is a life-changing opportunity disguised as trash. So listen to me. Do not spend this coin. If you ever see a 1993 with D quarter that looks old, dirty, and original, stop. Do not clean it. Do not rush. Protect it. Get it checked by professionals because grading is critical. Tiny details decide everything. One small mistake can turn a fortune into nothing. Patience is golden with coins like this. This detail changes everything. This is not fiction. And now let me tell you something that should honestly scare you a little. All 5 of these coins, the ones we talked about today, they are not in museums. They are not locked away forever. Some of them are still out there. In pockets, in drawers, in jars, in old boxes, in forgotten collections. People are still losing them every single day because they do not know what they are holding. So before you ever spend another quarter, remember this. Some of these coins are not money. They are hidden treasure. They are silent fortune. They are quiet wealth waiting to be noticed. Check your coins. Check your change. Check your old stuff. Because the next life-changing coin could already be in your house, and if you are not careful, you might spend it tomorrow without even knowing what you just lost.